welcome to TakeaSide, the sports talk show that lets you, the viewer, choose our winners. As always, get on sided.co and the Sided Debates app to post your arguments and climb up that leaderboard. Shout out to last week's winner, Bernard, for taking home the crown and a $25 Amazon gift card. We've got a great show for you today. Starting us off, we all know there are some great cities without any professional sports teams. I'm joined by Jerome Sweeney and Max McElroy to talk about which cities are in the most need for a professional team.
Well, getting a professional sports team in a city is, quite challenging for many reasons. Number one, you need to have, a strong group of investors with, a lot of funding and money. On top of that, you need to be in a city where, that wants the team, that, that's going to have taxpayer dollars that will, come and support the team coming to the city. But I think the biggest part of establishing a sports franchise of any league in any expansion city is, they really have to look on, what effect is the new team going to have on the city's media market, the league's media market, and the national market. Are they going to be a brandable team? Are they going to be, just a team that doesn't, draw attendance? But leading on to that, as we've seen, the Las Vegas Golden Knights came into play in their first season. They had a great run. They went to the Stanley Cup final that year. The reason why they had so much support of that is it was an interesting sport and an interesting location. And, that brought a lot of fans to them because, it was a new sport for the city of Las Vegas, which is, out west is unfamiliar with hockey compared to the Midwest and the East Coast. So, I think those are the key factors to getting a professional sports team to a city. That being said, one city that has all of those qualifications and much more is Omaha, Nebraska. Omaha, Nebraska is a town with over 900,000 people in its metropolitan area. They have, two D1 NCAA sports teams in Creighton and Nebraska, Omaha, and in their school's top sports, they're all top 20 in attendance. With Creighton basketball being, I think they're second in the Big East, and then Nebraska Omaha hockey, the Mavericks are, I think third in the country. And then on game days in Lincoln, Nebraska, Memorial Stadium is the second most populated city in the town, and it's not even a city. So, the fans love sports in Nebraska, and I think they have everything that it takes and much more to get people to come to their city.
See, so I think that the big problem with that is that it's similar to Birmingham, Alabama, is that city is a college football city, that they will rally behind that, and so Nebraska is almost their professional team. Similar, Alabama is almost their professional team. Where, so I believe that Albuquerque, New Mexico, basically just New Mexico in general, but the center point will be Albuquerque. They're within 6-mile radius of where Arizona plays football, and then a 7-mile radius of any Texas team, and then 9 hours away from Salt Lake City, which is where the Jazz play. And so you have this huge radius where there's no really allegiance. You can cheer for any team in that place, or in that area, Arizona, Texas, and even Utah. So I think that you have a market right there that people want to have a sports team to cheer for. And with that, they also don't have any major college teams. There's New Mexico State, yes, but those teams do not draw in crazy amounts of attendance, and their teams are never really great. And so having a professional sports franchise there, I think will just be great for the fans, and they'll actually be able to find a home base.
Right. So the one thing that makes cities that don't have sports or professional sports teams popular is what big events happen in their cities. And the one massive event that everyone around the country knows about that happens in Omaha is the College World Series. Over that 2-week course, there's over 500,000 people that travel to Omaha to come, see the College Baseball World Series. So, I think, you need to have the national head, you need to be in the national spotlight in order to, have the awareness to draw an NBA team or a professional team, but of any sort. And, the College World Series is, the biggest stage for college baseball, and takes place in Omaha, Nebraska, and that's what I think. For that reason alone, Omaha will get a professional sports team over Albuquerque.
So do you think that with Omaha that professional teams will be able to almost overrun college teams? Because if professional franchises make as much of the college stadium is making, they're not going to be that successful there. Do you think that the fans will be able to kind of get on board with the professional teams in their cities?
I think that's honestly the most exciting part about starting a new team there, because the honest answer is they will either succeed and attract a lot of fans, or because of league policies and whatnot, they will struggle to obtain good players and struggle, and then they won't get any attraction. Well, next we're going to find out who is going to be KU's top basketball player this season.
Diversity. What is diversity? It can be an umbrella term for a variety of things, ranging from diversity among different people, places, cultures, and ideas, to the way people express themselves and the way they interact with the world. In today's world, people interact with one another and share their thoughts through social media. Let's take Twitter, for example. How are people of different backgrounds, ethnicities, and sexual orientations with different political beliefs, interests, and job titles using this platform differently? Currently, celebrities are interacting with their fans on Twitter by speaking their minds, sharing their beliefs, and supporting social issues. Professional sports figures and organizations in the United States are using Twitter to support social causes and bring attention to current social matters, such as encouraging their fans to vote. Users are voicing their opinions about current issues surrounding racial inequalities, social injustice, and police brutality in the United States. There's diversity in the way people are discussing the upcoming presidential election, especially regarding their opinions of each candidate. Different news outlets are not only highlighting stories in the US, but are talking about important stories from around the world. But many Twitter users don't post about controversial matters or social issues at all. Rather, they use their platform to create memes and post funny content for entertainment. While many topics going around this app involve social issues and political opinions, Twitter creates a space where people can pull together collections of diverse thoughts, comments, opinions, goals, and even a little humor too. So how can we use this platform to express our differences? More importantly, how can we use it to learn from each other's differences today?
Where you go to college makes a statement about you. This place will become a part of you, your identity for life. The University of Kansas. A great place to be you.
Welcome back. With the college basketball season set to tip off on November 25th, the Kansas Jayhawks are firmly in contention as one of the NCAA's top teams. But after losing Udoka Azubuike and Devon Dodson to the NBA draft, who is going to be the lead man for the Jayhawks this season? I'm joined by Emma House and Blake Sevenbergen to debate.
All right, KU basketball, my personal favorite subject. Coming off some tough losses, as Jacob mentioned, with Devon Dodson, Udoka Azubuike. We just lost Silvio De Souza, who's opting out for personal reasons of this season. So it's kind of a crapshoot of who is going to be the MVP for this year, I guess. So who are you picking?
I'm going with Marcus Garrett. You know, Marcus is an experienced player. He's been on the team for multiple years now. Last year he was the Naismith Defensive Player of the Year. You know, he's won countless awards for his defense. He led the Big 12 in assists per game last year. He had the best assist to turnover ratio in the conference. And I think with KU having a high amount of volume scorers, people that can shoot the lights out of the gym at any given time, you know, Marcus is going to be that guy that steps up on the defensive end, steps up passing the ball, and it just takes over as the leader of this team.
Okay. All right. I'm going to go with Ochai Agbaji. I have loved watching Ochai play since he came freshman year. He's starting his junior year, his third season with the Jayhawks. It's been really fun to see him kind of progress. So he started off as redshirt freshman year. Halfway through that season, he got that taken off, and you could see him kind of grow a little bit. Last year, he was kind of held back. I think personally he was overshadowed by Devon Dodson and Udoka Azubuike, which I think now with them gone, I mean, unfortunately for our team that they're gone, but I think we'll really see him step up. And he had some amazing games last year, and his 3-points are just, it's like amazing watching him throw those 3-pointers. But I think we're really going to see Ochai step up and kind of try to be that team leader for them and kind of take over that role that I feel like Devon kind of took over that role a little bit last year with all the complications that we had. But I think we're going to see Ochai or Marcus step up, but I really think Ochai is going to step up and really be that leader for them.
Yeah, and I think in the same light, since Devon Dotson was, the point guard last season, was the lead man, I think Marcus will take the step into the spot that Devon Dotson played last year. And then I think also with that, another player that we need to keep our eyes on is Christian Brown. Last year as a freshman, started towards the end of the season and just played lights out basketball.
I think it was really fun watching him I didn't think anybody thought that he was going to come out playing like that, and he did. So question though, do you think before Silvio De Souza opted out of this season, do you think he had a chance of being that lead man?
Brown or Garrett?
Silvio.
KU has great big man talent they have for years, but I'm pretty sure that this year's team was going to be a guard heavy team. I think Silvio was going to be our big man in the middle, and they were going to feed into him, and that he was going to feed to the rest of the team. I think he was going to be up there to being the lead player, but I think he would be second to Marcus or Ochai.
Okay, all right. Well, do you think also, what about David McCormick? He's a big man like Doak. Do you think he's going to step up and take that position Doak had, or just kind of stay in the background?
Yeah, see what I think KU is going to do this season, they're going to go a 4-guard lineup, and then they're going to have Big Dave in the middle, and I think he's just going to be locked down defensively. He's going to take over offensive rebounds, and the success that the team's going to have this season is going to play very largely off of the part that he plays in games.
Okay. Do you think with Devon leaving and Marcus taking up that position, do you think that we're going to see kind of the same speed and effort given from Marcus that we got from Devon?
I believe so. I know Marcus, being the Naismith Defensive Player of the Year last year, he's shown that he can play on both ends of the basketball. He runs up and down the floor, and I believe that he's going to be the guy that gets open looks for the rest of the team this season.
Okay. All right. Well, I guess we'll see then during the season. It's exciting. I wonder if we're going to actually have a season.
I hope so.
Who
I cannot
knows?
wait.
I'm still a little mad that the NCAA didn't give us the trophy.
Yeah.
And we deserved it, but
I agree.
That's a debate for another time.
Exactly. And with that, we're going to take a short break, and after that, we will be back with a student from the University of Indiana debating with Jacob.
Welcome back. At Indiana University, students living in university housing are required to be tested weekly for the coronavirus. Meanwhile, here at KU, there are no such requirements in the dorms. I'm joined by Indiana University freshman Parth Shah to debate whether or not students living in university housing should be tested weekly for the coronavirus. Parth, thank you for joining us.
No problem. Thank you so much for having me.
So, first off, do you mind talking a little bit about what the protocol is in the dorms at Indiana University?
Yeah, so basically we are required to get tested weekly, like you said. We basically get sent an email, and then we just choose whatever time we want to get tested at. And then basically after that, if we test positive, we are required to list some names that we spend some time with. So that's considered contact tracing. And then we are sent directly to our quarantine dorm, or we have to go home or pick a hotel. And this has to be done in a very fast process because they don't want the virus to spread. So they give you like 2 to 3 hours to choose what you want to do and where you want to go. And after that, they usually just pick you up in their white minivan and they send you to Ashton, which is our quarantine dorm. And that's where we have to spend at least 10 to 14 days. It depends on, I think, if you have symptoms or not.
And how do you feel that this protocol has been effective? Do you think that it's worked so far, or do you think that there needs to be changes?
I think compared to other schools so far, I think Indiana's done a pretty great job with dealing with the coronavirus. I mean, it is a pretty big college campus, so you're going to have cases regardless where you go. That's something that's always going to be there. But since the way it's been going so far, I wouldn't say it's been going too bad. I think you can always do better, but I wouldn't complain.
Well, obviously, as I mentioned, here at the University of Kansas, students in the dorms are not required to be tested at all.
Hmm.
Uh, I would defend this stance because all KU students, if they have in-person classes, are required to be tested before the start of classes. And I feel that it would be a waste of resources and it would just be downright redundant to have students in university housing be tested again for living in the dorms when they're already being tested to go to in-person classes. Uh, do you think that it's redundant in a way to have students be tested in the dorms and to go to class?
I don't actually. I think a lot of students visit back home a lot. We have a lot of kids from Indiana here who like to go back home during the weekends where they can catch the virus. A lot of seniors can go to bars. People go to frat houses. They go to parties, and you're seeing random people throughout the day. Which at this point, the way the virus is going, you're more than likely to contract the virus. In Indiana, the cases are going up every day. I think it's currently eighth or seventh. I was looking it up before we started, the cases rising. So with the cases going up almost every day, I think students have to get tested weekly. If we get positive cases, that spreads super rapidly, and just because of how big our student body is. I'm pretty sure you guys can relate to that as well. You guys have a pretty big student body there too. If someone tests positive, you're more than likely to get a lot more positive tests, and it's just a way to keep people safe. Like I said, we're pretty big town just out of college. We have more than college students here. If you go to restaurants, bars, you're more than likely to meet other people, and you're gonna get other people sick, which is definitely not what we're trying to do, especially with how the cases have been going up.
Well, this debate's live on Sided, so be sure, if you're watching this now, to get on Sided and put up your arguments. But now, Parth, I want to transition a little bit to talk about the dining halls, because I know that you've mentioned to me previously that dining at Indiana University is only is only carry out. You might talk a
Yeah.
little bit about that because I know KU has a different stance.
Yeah, so basically for us, we order through Grubhub. I guess our university is partnered with Grubhub, so we can see every single one of our dining halls and just order whatever we want to from there. Basically, you get a bunch of options, and you order. You leave it out on the table with your name on there, and just grab and go. There's no going inside the cafeteria and ordering. I think it's just to minimize contact and the spread of the virus. Basically, how do you guys have it there at Kansas?
Now, from a social perspective, how do you
Yeah.
think that this has had an impact on you and really all of the freshmen? Because I know that coming in freshman year, you don't really not know a lot of people.
Yeah.
So has all of these have all of these protocols had an impact on you socially, and has it had an impact on all the freshmen?
I wouldn't say it has an impact on me personally. Personally, I've been able to make a lot more friends here. I think my floor itself is more connected because of that reason, because we know we're not able to, go out as much or basically break protocol as much. So, we became pretty close. But I feel like a lot more other freshmen have had a difficult time just because of how hard it can be to, meet people because it's basically a lot less people per room. You got social distance, you got to keep your masks on, and then you have to also get tested. So you don't want to test positive, or else you'll get sent to a quarantine dorm, which you don't want to be there. It sucks. It's actually terrible down there.
And I know that we've talked about weekly testing, we've talked about the
Hmm.
dining halls. Overall, one last time, tell the people why weekly testing is necessary for students living in on-campus housing. What is your pitch?
I'd say it's necessary just because of how much this virus spreads. Like I mentioned before, a lot of people go home. A lot of people go to different places where you're going to meet different people. The virus is pretty easy to spread. You might not be wearing your mask the whole entire time when you're out at a party or you're out at a restaurant, and you're more than likely to contract the virus. And because of that reason, if you catch the virus and you meet more people here on campus, the virus is going to spread through campus, which is something you definitely don't want. And I feel like IU's done a pretty decent job at trying to control the virus compared to especially other campuses, especially down south.
Now, once again, I'm going to argue I don't think that weekly testing is necessary. I think it would be a waste of resources personally at KU. I can't speak for Indiana University, but I think that when students are tested before classes begin, that's all that's needed to be done. And if students start developing symptoms, they should go and get tested immediately. But in the meantime, I think that weekly testing in the dorms at KU would be a waste of resources because you're already being tested. You're already being tested to go to class, and we shouldn't be wasting it on all of the students when we should be selective with our resources, testing the students that are symptomatic. Now, Parth, I want to thank you for joining us.
Thank you for
That's
having
all
me.
the time that we have today. Remember to get on Sided, post your debates and arguments, and climb up that leaderboard for your chance to take home a $25 Amazon gift card. For all of us here at TakeaSide, thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next week.